A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, Hugh from Plaguelands Media here, bringing you another book review, kind of. This time I am looking at X-Men Messiah Complex. This was an X-Men storyline, a crossover that came out well after my time of collecting comics. So there are a few characters in here that I have no idea about. But all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed this. There are going to be massive spoilers, as I usually do in these graphic novel looks. I kind of go over the entire story, so if you don't want to know what happens in this, go and watch another one of my videos. They're all fucking awesome. But if you want to stick around, it's kind of a long one today, because this is a very long, convoluted X-Men story. So, yeah, let's just get straight into another episode of... So this is X-Men Messiah Complex, an absolutely batshit crazy, fantastic X-Men crossover. So let's jump right into it. You can see that it covers X-Men Messiah Complex one-shot, Uncanny X-Men 492 to 494, X-Factor 25 to 27, New X-Men 44 to 46, X-Men 205 to 207. So there is a lot kind of going on here. So we start with a little bit of an explanation. This happens after M-Day. For those of you that don't know what M-Day was, it was when Scarlet Witch basically went batshit fucking crazy and declared no more mutants, and most of the mutants on Earth got depowered, and there was only a handful left. And since that time, no new mutant has actually been born or registered, even though Professor Xavier has been using Cerebra, not Cerebro, to kind of look for them. So we start with this one-shot. We have the X-Men here, Cyclops, of course, Emma Frost, who was previously the White Queen of the Hellfire Club, became like a good guy training Generation X with Banshee, and is now Scott Summers' lover after Jean Grey has passed away. Nightcrawler, one of my absolute favorite mutants of all time. Wolverine, because every fucking X-Men story back in the day had to have Wolverine in it. And Angel, who is no longer Archangel. You might remember at the end of Onslaught, the metal was coming off of his wings and he was starting to get his feathers back. I'm not sure if this is around the time where Angel has like the healing blood was a thing. Messiah Complex kind of came out at a time when I wasn't really collecting comics anymore. I actually picked this graphic novel up at a secondhand bookstore many, many years ago. You can already see the art is just fucking superb. So they're basically flying to this town in Alaska because a new mutant has registered, which is kind of unprecedented. And when they get there, they discover that the town is completely on fire. A lot of people have been killed. It's almost like a war zone. Psyche sends Angel out to scout around while Wolverine and Nightcrawler kind of go down on foot. At the same time, back at the mansion, Beast, who has undergone another mutation, which happened in, I believe, the Grant Morrison run of New X-Men. So he's more kind of cat-like now. And Professor X are in Cerebra, and they're looking at all kind of the mutants. And then Professor X gets this kind of intense feedback, which is heard all throughout the school. So this is kind of earlier. So it's a flashback sequence, I guess. He calls the X-Men to him to let them know what is going on, and then we jump forward. Nightcrawler is in the town saving people from the flames and whatnot. And they just have no idea what has gone on. But Wolverine kind of gets the sense that there were two groups here, and they find bodies. Some of the bodies are Marauders, who were Mr. Sinister's kind of henchmen, and some of the bodies are Purifiers. Now, the Purifiers are a group of anti-mutant, an anti-mutant militia led by the Reverend William Stryker. You will probably know William Stryker as the main antagonist from the second X-Men movie, X2. But in the comic books, William Stryker first appeared in the graphic novel God Loves, Man Kills, which is one of the greatest X-Men stories ever told. So they realize that a battle has gone on, and a woman kind of comes out holding a child that has been incinerated, and Emma Frost uses her telepathic abilities to calm her down and to find out what's going on. And it's then they realize that they were targeting children, that the adults weren't the priority. Here you have the Purifiers and you have the Marauders, and you can see that Gambit is part of the Marauders. I'm not entirely sure why at this point in the story. I wasn't following the comic books at the time. The art, of course, is just fantastic. And they realize that they need to go to the hospital in this town. I believe it's called Cooperstown. So they go to the hospital, and they realize that 3 babies were born. 2 of the babies are dead. 1 of the babies is missing. So they get in their jet and they head off in the Blackbird. At the same time, Predator X is unleashed. Now, as far as I can tell, Predator X was created in a lab, the same lab that X-23 was created in, X-23 being a clone of Wolverine. I'm not entirely sure of all the history there, but those of you that have seen Logan know that the young child in that movie is supposed to be X-23. Now, Predator X basically hunts down and feeds on the DNA of mutants. And with the birth of this new mutant child, we're under the assumption that X-23 is going to hunt. So that was Messiah Complex one-shot. We now move on to Uncanny X-Men 492. Great cover. Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, and Angel. So we have news reporters in the ruins of the town, wondering exactly what is happening, what is going on. And they're watching it on the news. Professor X comes to talk to Cyclops. Something's gone on here. I don't exactly know what, because, as I said, I wasn't privy to the earlier comics. But Professor Xavier can walk now, and there's a rift between him and Cyclops. And Cyclops is basically just, I don't know if he's being a dick or trying to be a leader, but he's just dismissing everything Professor X is saying. So something's happened that's formed a rift. I'm not entirely sure what. He's basically telling Professor X, just let me lead. They have sent a few of the X-Men out to find the Acolytes, because they know that Exodus, who... Okay, so let me just do a little backstep here. The Acolytes were once Magneto's crew, I guess you could say, his henchmen. Exodus, very powerful mutant, kind of wanted to usurp Magneto's rule on Asteroid M. He is now, for some reason, part of the Marauders, and the Acolytes are in hiding, and they want to know where the Marauders are. So Wolverine and Angel and a few others have gone to find the Acolytes. They get into a fight with them. Colossus, of course, with them. Storm as well. You saw it on the cover. So they get into a fight with the Acolytes, and they are basically told the location of one of the Acolytes, who will be able to tell them where Exodus is. At the same time, we have Richter, who was depowered during the House of M storyline, and Jamie Madrox, aka Multiple Man, coming to the mansion at the behest of Cyclops. Multiple Man is now a private investigator. For those of you who don't know what his powers are, any energy, like just snapping your fingers, and he can create duplicates of himself. Richter, of course, has no powers. They are not on good terms with the X-Men. There has kind of been a rift in the teams. So they come to the mansion. We get to see a few of the New Mutants, and this character, Layla, no idea who she is, no idea what her powers are. This is the first time I've actually kind of read about this character, so that's pretty interesting. But she is with Multiple Man at the moment. So Psyche basically explains what's going on to Richter and Jamie Madrox and what he needs them to do. At the same time, Beast is kind of breaking down the weaponry that was used in Cooperstown and talking to Professor X. Professor X is trying to kind of get some understanding into Cyclops's animosity towards him, but Beast is completely preoccupied at the moment. And then Professor X just goes into Cerebra. So the fight between the X-Men and the Acolytes is ongoing. They get the information they need. We get a very weird page of a half-naked Cyclops talking to Emma Frost about, is it right to do what we're going to do with Richter and Jamie Madrox? And then we get Predator X on the Rampage. So, in the next issue, this is X Factor 25, we have the Purifiers in a church, and they get attacked by Wolfsbane, who is a standing member of X Factor. They chase Wolfsbane out in the street, where she comes face to face with Richter. Richter shoots her for being a filthy mutant. And then Siren gets her out of there. So we know that this was all a ploy to get Richter into the Purifiers undercover. So they've seen him shoot a mutant. He's explained to them filthy mutants. And then they go undercover. Here is a couple of the New Mutants. These are students in the School for Gifted Learning who want to have a word with Cyclops because they know something's going down. This guy is Rockslide. No idea who she is. Or that could be X23. But these students, I don't know what their powers are, and I don't know anything about them. But it was fun to see them interact with the X-Men that I grew up with and loved. At the same time, Layla and Madrox come to Forge. Forge, of course, being the mutant inventor. That is his special power. So they go inside and they meet with Forge because Forge has created a temporal gateway that can transport people into the future. Now, at the Acolytes fight, Wolverine gets hit by an ambulance and is taken into the hospital. And the reason he has done that is because one of the former Acolytes is working there as a nurse. She knows the whereabouts of Exodus, who will lead them to the Marauders and thus to Sinister. So she basically uses her powers to try and escape, but Storm sucks her through the air vent, and ultimately she says, okay, I will let you know what you want to know. Back in Forge's laboratory, the plan is revealed. Jamie Madrox is going to create 2 duplicates of himself. He does this by stomping his foot on the ground. And they are going to send those duplicates into 2 possible futures. So the whole idea here is that the birth of this mutant child has created 2 possible timelines. Now, they want to find out why this child is being hunted and who is hunting this child. So they believe that by sending the duplicates into each of the timelines, the duplicates will find out the necessary information. They will then kill themselves. And once they kill themselves, that knowledge will revert back to Multiple Man. So they send the first guy into one timeline, and they send the second one into one timeline. But as they do, Layla jumps onto the temporal kind of panel and is transported into the future with Multiple Man. Pardon me, at least one, this copy of Multiple Man. At this point, you kind of get the idea that Layla's ability is that she can see things or she can sense the future. Not really quite sure about that. And she gets sucked in, and the original Jamie Madrox is like, what the fuck, Forge, we've got to get her back. And Forge is like, nothing we can do. Multiple Man kind of gets pissy, and then suddenly he falls into a coma. The students back at the Institute for Higher Learning confront Cyclops. Why aren't we a part of this fight? We know that the Purifiers have something to do with it, and the Purifiers killed a lot of our friends. Now, prior to this story, when a lot of the mutants were depowered after Scarlet Witch famously said, "No more mutants," the depowered mutants were being shipped off back home. They were put on buses. The Purifiers attacked the school and bombed the buses, and a lot of them were killed. So these kids have a real fucking grudge against William Stryker and against the Purifiers themselves, and they want in on the fight. And Cyclops is like, you'll get your chance, but you have to trust me, I am the leader. And they're like, okay. But Rockslide kind of is like, this is bullshit, and Cyclops hits him with a beam, because that's what a good professor does. When your student says, I want to help, you go, fuck you, I'm going to blast you with my eye beams. So, good job, Cyclops. And the other mutants are like, fuck you, dick. Richter is in with the Purifiers, and they tell him that this is just one of many safe houses. The biggest one is, of course, in Washington. And he realizes that something bad is going down with these guys. They have an absolute shit ton of weaponry. In the new X-Men 44, we have a mutant out in the wilderness who is starting a fire with his ability. Predator X comes across him and rips him to shreds and just devours him. At the same time, the New Mutants are kind of debating, what do we do? They see Professor X. They're like, come on, dude, you've got to give us something to do. But he's like, I'm not the team leader anymore. You'll do what you think is right. In the meantime, Jamie Madrox, Multiple Man, is in a coma. And he's effectively brain dead at this point. So they don't know exactly what to do. The New Mutants, the students, kind of have a meeting and they're like, we're going to go. Some of them opt in, some of them opt out. They understand full well the choices that they're making and the consequences. We have Pixie, Rockslide, Dust, and a few others that we're introduced to. Again, I don't really know their powers, their backgrounds. I think Pixie's a teleporter, and Dust, the name kind of speaks for itself. The X-Men are flying to Antarctica, and Nightcrawler, basically they've found the Marauders' base, and Nightcrawler has gone on to scout ahead. Richter is now in the Purifiers Church in Washington. This is the church of the Reverend William Stryker. In the film, he was a general who had ties to the Weapons X program and knew Wolverine, but in the comic books, he's actually a reverend who preaches that mutants are an abomination, and that the Purifiers actually believe that this first New Mutant birth is the birth of the Antichrist. Richter is kind of shocked by all this. In the meantime, 80 years into the future, the duplicate of Jamie Madrox and Layla have discovered kind of this dystopian future where there are no mutants, and mutants have been put into internment camps. The New Mutants discover the base of the Purifiers in Washington, D.C., and so they go there prepared to attack them, and they infiltrate the base. At the same time, in Antarctica, Mr. Sinister and his Marauders, including Mystique, and there's Exodus, Gambit is in there, and a ton of other characters. Sunspot, I believe, is in there now. They are kind of talking when the X-Men bust in and attack, so you know some bad shit is going down in Antarctica. Back in the church, the New Mutants kind of sneak in, and they discover kind of Richter, what is going on. Richter is like, you shouldn't be here. And then all hell breaks loose, and we find that Lady Deathstrike is working with the Purifiers, and she has taken out one of the New Mutants by putting her claws through his chest. Lady Deathstrike, of course, being Yuriko, who has ties to Wolverine. Okay, great cover for X-Men 205. Just phenomenal art. So, 80 years into the future, we have Jamie Madrox and Layla trying to work out what is going on. Then in Antarctica, Mr. Sinister and the Marauders start to battle the X-Men. Okay, back in New York, we have a Sentinel from the One program. Now this, after M-Day, Sentinels became piloted by humans, and the government decreed that there is going to be this special kind of sentinel, like a squad that would keep an eye on the mutants. So they're not bad sentinels, but they're just there to maybe protect humanity, maybe to help them out when they can. It's kind of an interesting little side story. So Bishop, Emma Frost, and Cyclops are kind of talking about all of this stuff. The Marauder battle kind of continues with everyone punching everyone. Wolverine realizes that Gambit is here and kind of chases him down. Back in the Purifiers church, Lady Deathstrike and her kind of squad of goons confront X-23. There is a huge fight. And ultimately, Pixie decides to teleport them all away to safety, knowing that they can't win. Emma Frost realizes that something has happened to the students, and her and Psyche try to deal with that. Wolverine and Gambit have a one-on-one fight, which is pretty cool. Ultimately, Storm kind of puts the kibosh and everything, realizing that the new child is not here, that the Marauders don't have it. Some of the Marauders, or one of them at least, has the ability to kind of halt mutant powers, and she does that and fries Wolverine, and you can see that like his ribs are showing here and he's losing all his skin, and then Emma Frost just takes the bitch out. Wolverine is saved by Nightcrawler, who bamfs him away. He's a nice teleport, but at the same time, Nightcrawler gets shot by a hollow point bullet, so everything kind of goes to shit. At the same time, a nanovirus infects the pilots of the One Sentinels, One ONE being the name of their squad, and those Sentinels turn on the mansion and start to attack it. It is at this point that we find out who actually took the child, and it is Cable. Cable being the son of Jean Grey and Scott Summers, or Madeline Pryor and Scott Summers, I can't actually remember, who was infected with a techno-organic virus and sent into the future to live with the Askani, and who has kind of come back. He's kind of Apocalypse's nemesis, but he has taken the child. So they are hightailing it out of Antarctica, trying to keep Nightcrawler alive. They are kind of licking their wounds when Cyclops is like, we fucking need you here. The base, or the mansion, is under attack by Sentinels. So they are all fighting these Sentinels. We get to see Warpath and Beast kind of do their thing. There's Hepzibah. And Emma Frost is taken out by the Sentinels. The students are kind of the ones that are left, I should say, are kind of helping in the fight. But ultimately, it is not going all that well. Mystique and Mr. Sinister discussing the child and what they should do. And then we see Cable with the baby, and he is on the run. Back at the mansion, the fight with the Sentinels is still going on. And one of the teams crashes their ship into the Sentinel, and then X-23 jumps out and just goes berserk crazy. We have Iceman kind of doing his thing. Everyone is just trying to pick up the pieces and make sure that they are protected as they fight this final Sentinel. And then we have some of the newer X-Men like Dust and whatever kind of joining in the fray. Those that got out of the scrap with the Purifiers largely intact. And they realize now that the pilots have been infected with a techno-organic virus, which leads them to believe, nanovirus, which leads them to believe that it was Cable that sent the Sentinels after the mansion, because Cable had previously had dealings with that same virus, the nanovirus. X-23 is wounded. Cyclops kind of licks his wounds, tries to regroup, tries to work out what is going on. Has a bit of a back and forth with Wolverine. Wolverine at this point is actually following Cyclops' leadership. So it's a really interesting dynamic and really interesting relationship here. They're trying to work out who sent Sentinels, and they think it was Cable. And so Cyclops basically sends out X-Force. Now, in this book, X-Force are basically given free rein to do whatever the fuck they want. Cyclops actually says, if you meet resistance from the Marauders, just kill them. Like, just get it out of the way. So X-Force here is Caliban, X-23, Wolverine, Wolfsbane, Warpath, and Hepzibah. Hepzibah, formerly one of the Starjammers. Those of you that don't know who the Starjammers are, the Starjammers were led by Cyclops and Havoc's father, Corsair, before he was brutally killed. That is a whole other story for a whole different time. Professor X has a discussion with Cyclops. Cyclops basically tells him, dude, I'm the leader. Fuck off. You can notice how in the art it looks a lot like Patrick Stewart's Professor X. I thought that was pretty cool. Cable is on his own, kind of trying to escape, and X-Force is now trying to hunt down Cable. They believe Cable has the child. Cable is confronted by Lady Deathstrike. At the same time, this mutant called Peepers it calls into the X-Mansion. He needs to be protected. He thinks someone's after him. And Siren answers the call. And Siren, who is the daughter of Banshee, has the same powers as Banshee, says, I will come and get you, Peepers. But, oh no, what has happened here? Predator X pretty much takes Peepers out. Okay, in the future, Layla and Madrox are trying to work out exactly what is going on. They find some guards and kind of beat them up to get information. And the guards basically tell them that mutants are all in the mutant internment camps. Back in Cooperstown, the police are kind of on the alert now, and Warpath and Logan have a little bit of a back and forth because They are tracking down Cable, and Warpath sees Cable as somewhat of a father figure. Cable kind of trained him, and so he doesn't know what is going to happen if they actually catch up to Cable. So they do a bit of hunting and tracking. At the same time, Lady Deathstrike and Cable are fighting. In the future, we have Jamie Madrox trying to work out exactly why this future is the way it is. It is the this is where he finds out about the internment camps. Siren finds the remains of Peepers as we see Predator X slinking away. They get the scent of where Cable is kind of headed. Professor X and Cyclops have their little bitch session again. Cable is trying to protect the baby while Lady Deathstrike is attacking. We find out that the best way for Jamie Madrox and Layla to get into the camp is to get arrested, which they do. Even though Layla doesn't actually register as a mutant, I believe that's part of her power, that she can kind of turn it on and off. It's very obvious that Jamie Madrox is a mutant, and so they are thrown in the back of a van to be taken to the internment camps. Lady Deathstrike and Cable still going at it until the X-Force managed to find them. Now, the reason they managed to find Cable is because of Caliban's mutant ability. Caliban is actually a mutant tracker. He can track down different mutants based on their powers. So they get into a huge fight. Madrox and Layla are brought to the internment camp where Madrox is knocked out. They are separated. The fight continues. So now X-Force know where Cable is because he's like right there with the baby, but it's Lady Deathstrike that is causing all the shit here. Her and X-23 kind of duke it out, and it's a really brutal fight. In the meantime, Predator X is getting closer and closer. Back at the mansion in the infirmary, they're trying to save the lives of the mutants that have been attacked and shot. There's Nightcrawler and the guy that got stabbed by Lady Deathstrike. Beast is just fully fucking exhausted by now. And the new X-Men, the leader of the new X-Men, Nori, kind of blames herself for what is going on and what is happening. Lady Deathstrike pummels the living shit out of X-23, but it is all a ploy. She lets herself get hurt because, of course, she has the healing factor of Wolverine and the claws, and she does this to disable Lady Deathstrike's cybernetics, ultimately defeating her. So the Lady Deathstrike's kind of crew is fighting X-Force. Cable is trying to get away when one of the guys is about to shoot. Warpath and Caliban jumps in front of it and takes all the shots, thus killing him. Wolverine realizes that that Warpath has kind of gone above and beyond here by taking out the guard with one of his knives. Warpath, instead of continuing with the mission, goes back for Caliban. Lady Deathstrike is incapacitated and taken out by X-23, which, as you can see here, is absolutely fucking brutal. Wolverine realizes that Cable has kind of duped them and has stolen their ship that he doubled back and is gone with the kid. Okay, so in the future, they are shaving Madrox's head. They are doing the same thing to Layla. You get the idea that these internment camps are very much like Nazi concentration camps, except for mutants. And Madrox is introduced to a doctor who is going to tattoo him with nano ink that is going to basically be fused with his DNA. They retrieve Caliban. After the battle, the other X-Men come with their ship to pick them up, and they decide that there wasn't anything that they could really do. Back at the mansion, the students are trying to fix Cerebra. There's a mutant called Prodigy who was infused with a ton of information pardon me, by the Stepford Cuckoos. The Stepford Cuckoos, of course, being clones of Emma Frost. I believe there are only 3 of them left in this issue, and it is their name is a play on 2 stories: the Stepford Wives and the Midwich Cuckoos, which I think is really cool. They are telepaths. Cable is trying to find a ride. He's planning to go and visit Forge to get his hands on some equipment he needs to fix his time travel gear. He stops a truck and basically steals it. In the future, Jamie Madrox has been tattooed with the M on his face, the same M that Bishop has, which designates him as a mutant. So basically the X-Men are now kind of licking their wounds and recovering. They are in contact with the kids back at the mansion who are trying to fix Cerebra. And they're just basically saying, keep us updated. They manage to fix it, and the Midwich Cuckoos are now able to locate Cable, and they let them know that Cable is headed to Forge. He crashes the truck into Forge's place and goes up there kind of wondering why Forge isn't there to greet him. When he gets there, he sees that Forge has been taken out, and then he is promptly shot in the back. By who? We don't know. In the future, in the internment camp, Madrox is in the yard. You can see the M tattoo on his face. We find out back in the past that Bishop is the one that shot Cable in the back and took him out, and he is now about to kill the mutant baby. Okay. We find that the baby is crying. Bishop is trying to pull the trigger, but he's having some kind of moral, ethical quandary. Before he can do it, the Marauders bust in, led by Gambit, and they battle. Bishop, of course, while he is a particularly powerful mutant, cannot take them all on, and he is promptly taken out, and the Marauders take the child away. In the future, 80 years in the future, Jamie Madrox is kind of getting beaten up and mistreated and whatnot. He's reunited with Layla, and Layla tells him that there is someone here we have to talk to, and that is a young Lucas Bishop, who was born and grew up in the internment camp. Back in the past, we have Bishop. Those of you that don't know, Bishop kind of time traveled back in the past because he believed that one of the X-Men was going to betray everyone and cause this terrible future, and he went back to stop it. Bishop is now pissed off that he lost his chance to kill the baby. He believes that that child is the child that is going to cause this horrible future. The X-Men arrive, and Bishop lies to them about trying to rescue the child and whatnot, and they believe him. So they kind of all get together to formulate a plan as to where they can find the Marauders. The Stepford Cuckoos realize that the way to track the Marauders is to track Gambit, because Gambit used to be an X-Man, and it's just easier that way. Cable, pissed off, decides that he needs help from someone, and so he decides to contact Charles Xavier, knowing full well that Charles might not help him. And at first, Charles is very skeptical because Charles believes Cable led the attack with the Sentinels on the mansion. In the internment camp, they try to talk to Bishop, but Bishop kind of tells them, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" Leads them away. At one point, Layla brushes into a guard, and the guard kind of tosses her to one side during the confrontation. They talk to Bishop about how this happened, and Bishop explains that this mutant is going to kill millions of humans, and that is what is going to turn humanity against mutant kind. And if that mutant was dead, none of this would have happened. So I wish I had the opportunity to kill that mutant when it was a child. We find out that Layla has stolen a grenade from a guard, knowing full well that Jamie Madrox has to die. This version of Jamie has to die so that the information he knows will go back to the original Jamie Madrox, and that way they can get that information to the X-Men. So she releases the grenade and kills Jamie Madrox. The Stepford Cuckoos are passing information along to the X-Men, and Siren, who is next to Jamie. There's a little bit of back and forth here, so I'm not sure if they're in a relationship at this point or not, but she's praying for him to wake up, and when he does, she kind of summons everyone, and Jamie realizes that Bishop is the one that they have to be wary of, because he is trying to kill the child. Professor X has basically come to save Cable. They are talking in a spaceship, which is a figment of Cable's imagination. Professor X is putting the images in his head so that he is calm from the pain as he is trying to patch him up. And So now everyone kind of realizes at this point exactly what is going on and what they have to do. Cable tells Professor X, I'm the only one that can save this child by taking her into the future. Will you help me? Professor X says yes. At this point, the Marauders come back with the child. They are greeted by Sinister, who takes the child, but it is not Sinister, it is Mystique. And we see Mystique has actually taken Sinister out. What the fuck is going on at this point? All the New Mutants are kind of assembling when Predator X comes in to attack them. They basically now know exactly what is going on. And then they all get ready for just one giant fight with the Marauders. So you have the X-Men fighting the Marauders for the child. Mr. Sinister, who leads the Marauders, has been taken out by Mystique for whatever reason. And the New Mutants back at the mansion are now in a fight with Predator X. So the stakes really got fucking raised really, really quickly. We find out that Mystique is doing all of this to save Rogue. Rogue is apparently at death's door with some necrovirus or something, and Mystique wants to save her. Mystique, of course, is Rogue's mother of sorts. So this was a little flashback scene. This was how she took out Mr. Sinister. And now we have the battle that is about to go down. One of the Marauders shoots Wolverine in the head. But, you know, Wolverine's healing factor. So that's really nothing to him. And then you just have this huge free-for-all where the X-Men, X-Force, Marauders, all kind of going at it. Gambit and Mystique have the child. And Mystique believes that the child is actually going to save Rogue because it was written in Destiny's diaries. Those of you that don't know who Destiny is, she is a one-time lover of Mystique. Her mutant power was seeing the future, and she wrote a number of diaries that had like precognition stuff. She touches the baby to Rogue. Rogue, of course, her ability is she absorbs other people's powers and life essence and memories and whatnot. Back at the mansion, the Predator X is attacking the students, but there is nothing that they can really do to hurt it. Predator X is a fucking killing machine. Okay, so we have Professor X kind of helping with Cable to try and get the kid back, taking out some of the Marauders. Gambit is disgusted by what Mystique has done. He says, don't you think that Rogue wouldn't want this? This baby will die just to save her. That's not what she would have wanted at all. But the baby is apparently completely fine. And Mystique is just kind of losing it at this point. The battle is going on. Neither side is really getting the upper hand. Back at the mansion, the Predator X is taking everyone out, and then they decide, let's get it somewhere where it's away from the infirmary, because as a predator, it hunts the weakest prey, and those mutants in the infirmary are the weakest prey. So Pixie teleports it to where the X-Men are. And so now Predator X is in the battle with the Marauders and the X-Men. And Cable has the child. Professor X gives the child to Cable, but just as he gets it, Predator X shows up. Okay, so now it's everyone fighting Predator X while Cable is trying to protect the baby, and it is not going well. The Marauders are taking out the X-Men because they've been trained to fight the X-Men. Cyclops tells Emma Frost, let's change tactics. Let's have the students fight the Marauders because the Marauders don't know the students' capabilities. They know our capabilities, and this will throw them off their game. Really cool plan. I really liked that. So they all start kind of switching up enemies. Cyclops wants the baby, and Professor X turns on Cable and says, give the baby to Cyclops. At this point, Rogue wakes up and realizes that, like, exactly what Mystique has done, and just fucking beats the shit out of her. The students are doing really well against the Marauders, taking them out. So Emma Frost is fighting Exodus, because Exodus is the most powerful of the mutants here. And it's basically a distraction. Exodus doesn't realize the dust has turned into her dust form and has gone into his lungs and ripped them to shreds from the inside. Cable gives the baby to Cyclops. At the same time, Rogue feels that the only way she is going to get any peace is if she kills her mother. So she touches her mother, covers her mouth and nose with her bare hand, thus absorbing her life essence. Wolverine at this point is like, fuck this, and just jumps into Predator X's mouth and basically rips it apart from the inside. Cyclops looks at the child, realizes that the same thing is kind of happening here with what he had to do with Cable, give him away to to people in the future to save his life, and that is what he has to do with this baby. Gambit and Rogue have a bittersweet reunion before Rogue says, listen, when Mystique touched me with the baby absorbed everything from me. I no longer have people's memories and voices and things like that in my head. But then I touched her, and now she is in my head. She's not dead, but she is always going to be with me now, and that's something that I don't want. That was a mistake, so I'm going off to work it out. Please don't follow me. The X-Men have effectively won, and Cyclops decides Cable is right. He has to take the child into the future to protect it. So he gives the child back to Cable. Just as Cable is about to take the child into the future, Bishop appears trying to kill the baby, inadvertently shooting Professor Xavier in the head, killing him. Cable does get away, though. And it ends with Scott Summers telling Emma Frost there are no X-Men as they stand over the body of Charles Xavier. And we end with Cable and the mutant baby, the first mutant baby to be born after M-Day in the future. And whatever will happen, will happen. And then we get some covers and some kind of files on the different mutants, which is kind of cool, different groups. So this was X-Men Messiah Complex. A very convoluted crossover, but I really enjoyed that. I loved that the Purifiers were included. I loved that we got to see like a young Bishop in the future. The teams at this point, we had some classic X-Men, we had some old X-Men, we had some new X-Men, so that was all kind of pretty cool. The Cyclops Professor X dynamic, a little bit strange, but that's only because I hadn't read any of the issues that came before, like how is he walking again, and this kind of thing. But all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed Messiah Complex. The art was fantastic. The storylines were great. It was just an all-around good read. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Follow us on all the stuff you're going to see on the end slide. But most importantly, stay safe. And I'll see you in the next video.